everybody. I'm DianaLang, and we are going to build a crystal grid altar. And I want to teach some ideas while I'm building it so that you can learn some of the many things that you can do when you want to build an altar in your home or in your special space or in your meditation area. I have many in my home. And I have active ones and that I'm working with daily, and I have ones that are holding spaces in different parts of my home for different situations, people that I am praying with, things I am developing in my own life, and then a working everyday altar that I use every single day. So today we're going to build a special working crystal grid. And you can use all kinds of things. And it's good to know that because you don't have to have 1,000 crystals. You might just have one. And so you can design it using a single crystal as your power touchstone to activate the intention that you place in the grid. So it starts like this. Always, for me, I light a candle. So I have beautiful merry matches. So everything becomes intentional. And this candle is designed by a dear friend of mine. And it says, love, 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 love. So that becomes my centerpiece in my grid. So I place my intention of love, let's say, more love in my life, more love as in relationship, more love for myself. And you need to sort of design your intention. This is really the critical component of grids, is that you know what you're intending. So oftentimes before I would even start to create the grid, I would do a small short meditation to re-intend the thing that I know that I want to work with, so that I'm as in a pure space and a pure state as I can be. So I've lit my candle, I've set my intention, and then I begin to design once I have it. So I'm going to just start simply, I think, with a beautiful piece of rose quartz, because if the subject, for instance, today is love, like I'm using as our intention, self-love, self-esteem, taking care of ourselves, I'll use this rose quartz to hold the space of that intention with the candle, enlightening it and brightening it. So that might be the only crystal I have. And if it is, then that's the one that I'll design the rest around. Because what's really nice is I can use other things. Like this is a seashell. I use a conch shell that I use for my Awakening the Divine Feminine classes as a talking shell. You've heard of talking sticks, which is whoever's got the stick then speaks and no one interrupts that speaking. Well, we use a talking shell. So definitely in my love grid or my grid of heart, I want to use this beautiful emblem of the feminine. So I use her here like this to show this holding, right? The feminine holding, this beautiful seashell that holds the energy. So that will be in it. And then I will begin to create from there. I could use something like this. This is a beautiful crystal angel a friend of mine gave me. I love. It's got rainbows in it. It's really gorgeous quartz crystal. And I can use it as an anchor for the whole intentional grid. Or I could use something like this. I have a Buddha. I could use the Buddha as the intentional holder. This could be a picture of a teacher that you love or you have special connection to, like Jesus or Mary or the Buddha or Paramahansa Yogananda, all of these kinds of energy holders. Or it can be neutral, like this angel, which is sort of like the soul or angel watching over this reading. So I'll just work with her for the moment, I think. And then oftentimes I begin to build things. And what I will often use are, if I have them, little crystals like this. I love these quartz crystals. They're so beautiful, to kind of just hold the space of this reading, of this intention, to hold the space of what we're building. And what I'm building now is I'm using clear quartz crystals, which are amplifiers, right? Whatever you put clear quartz crystal to, it acts like an amplifier. So whenever you're trying to make something bigger, clear quartz crystal is really powerful to work with. I also love smoky quartz, which are these are a little bit deeper in tone. These are really good to release any negative energy or negative thoughts that you have about it. So let's say you're wanting to create this beautiful crystal grid of love and relationship and connection to others, then you got to use smoky crystal as a sort of releaser of negative thoughts about that. Oh, I'll never find that. What if I never find that? This sort of clears the energy of that. So you can use these like protectors guarding the grid. I have this beautiful little rose quartz heart. So I'm going to use that too. Sometimes I'll use a piece of incense or sage to work with in order to clear the energy. Like at this point, this would be a good place actually to, run some sage perhaps or incense, whatever I've got, just to create some smoke to clear me or to clear my grid, right? To work with it this way. So I can do that too. And sometimes I do this quite a bit, like I've got a lot of sage in here. So kind of everything becomes part of the grid. You could use pine cones that you have from your yard. You could use a feather, right? And put it as part of your grid that's like protecting the feminine or developing it, or use the feather to move the smoke throughout this grid to clear the stones that are in it. So you can use things that you find, beautiful sticks and rocks that you find and shells you find at the ocean, anything that you give importance to or that you feel has some symbolic meaning you can use. Another thing that I'm using today to show you are these beautiful stones that my friend makes. If you're ever interested, let me know and I'll tell you where to get them. They're amazing. And what they do is they hold the energy of a card maybe you're working with. Like if you were choosing to use a tarot card, for instance, you place it right. There's a little bit of a cut in the stone, and then you can just place your stone. And then this becomes now the intention of the grid. And we can use that as more information about what this grid is for. And this is another one that I have. I just want to show you just different things you can do. This is another tarot card holder that you can either put a candle in and your card. It's the same person makes these, right? Which is awesome. And you light the candle and it shines on it. Or you can use something like this. This is a beautiful piece of amazing citrine. And I can put that in front of that card and use it as a working tool to more work with the energy that these cards would show that maybe I need to work with in order to build this grid for love in my life. And so it's really powerful to think about like intentionally, and you don't have to do that. You can just put a card on your grid and then that's plenty good. But there's these beautiful ways of presentation that you can also use to work with and even more form sort of this creative project. I call altars your spiritual workshop, where you can build a station of intentionality about the subject matter that you're working with. So these cards, the ones I've just pulled right now, are coincidentally, of course, rose quartz just came up. And we're working with quite a bit of rose quartz. And also I got smoky quartz. And smoky quartz is about changing negative energy to positive energy and other things. There's a lot to the cards themselves, of course. And rose quartz is about love and our own self-love and love of others. I could use, and often do, use several decks So sometimes I'll use one deck. Let's say we're using the crystal deck, which is all of these tarot cards are different versions of crystals, and they all have different meanings, of course, like you know. And this is called the Mother Piece deck, and I love this deck because it's round. And almost every tarot deck you see is rectangular like this, and there's an up and a down, a reversed version of it and an upward version of it, and they have very different meanings. But when you're working with a card like this, here I've just pulled the Son of Cups. It's the page, right? When it turns in different directions, it has different meaning. So here it is straight right side up, and here it is upside down, right? And it has the meaning just like it would in a regular deck of right side up and upside down. But what I love about round decks is as they rotate, right? They have different meanings, as in this case, what we'd be doing from here is it's going away from the top, so it's been there and coming away from it, or it's going towards being upside down, or it's coming towards right side up again. So if you played the card like this and it landed like this would be really hopeful because it's getting very close to coming to right side up. So it might be 10 days away or something, but it's coming soon, right? It's coming soon. So round decks are really powerful. So I'm just going to pick a card for us right now for our grid and just see what comes up for us to work with today. See what we see. Ah, nice. The Nine of Cups. And she did come up straight up almost. A little bit just going off center, just a little bit. And this one is about supreme self-care. This is the card of taking care of yourself better. And it's what I've been talking about for the last 3 months, is how can we better take care of ourselves these days? And this card is so beautiful because it's all about, it's like the picture is of like these women in a spa. They're bathing, they're resting, they're in a hammock, they're being massaged. It's this time of learning how to take better care of ourselves. So here's our card with our next to this growing love in our life. So those are the subjects that I'm working with today in this grid. And so this grid is starting to take a life of its own. You can start to feel like this is starting to get pretty strong. I feel like there's something more to add to it. So I'm just seeing here what I want to bring. I like sometimes to use these. These are bowls, crystal bowls. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll use a crystal bowl like this and I'll put my rings in it to just, when I'm sleeping, or if I'm trying, or some jewelry that I want to wear that is holding the energy of things that are powerful for me. Like I always wear a mala, and oftentimes my mala, when I go to a meditation, I always have my mala with me, and when I'm at the meditation, because I want it to become imbued with whomever I'm studying with and the subjects we're working with, and it all goes into the mala. So that might be what I place in my little bowl. This could be any kind of bowl, of course, but this one's just so beautiful because it's this gorgeous rose quartz bowl. So I have my wedding ring in here, and I have my mala in here. So, you kind of be creative with things that you've got around. You might have some of these things around you because you can use anything. It doesn't have to be this, like a crystal bowl. It can just be a little beautiful saucer or a plate that you love, something that you work with, and that becomes where you put your important articles. And it might be something that you use in this particular grid because you're wanting to develop more self-love. And so what might go in here is a ring that you gave yourself. This is one that I gave myself. So I'll put this one in here just to hold the space of that. And I also want to put a piece of just raw rose quartz in this particular one. This is very unpolished, just that nice raw rose quartz. And to me, I love raw rose quartz because it is that in the primal state before it's been polished into something, perfect like that, which are beautiful to work with too. I like sometimes just that raw state of quartz. And so I'm going to put that piece of raw quartz right behind the feminine angel, which is symbolic of my divine feminine, or our divine feminine. So she's going to be like this. And the last thing I think I'm going to use on this particular grid is an accelerator crystal. And it's got many, many lines. It turns, it's called a turbo crystal. And it's really beautiful, really different. And I'm going to use that behind the raw rose quartz. Finally, what I'm going to do to finish this up is I'm going to take from my calendar. This is one of those tear-off calendars from Louise Hay. And this is Saturday, August 8th. And it says, I give a portion of my time to helping others. It is good for my own health. So I'm doing that. And on the inside, I'm going to write my intention. So I'm just going to take a moment and write my intention on this piece of paper. This can be long or short. It can be, a word that you know exactly what it means, or it might be a whole piece of journal writing that you just recently did. And I take that on my little calendar day, and I'm going to fold it up. I'm going to place it into the holder with my ring in there too. And that's holding now the intention of this whole reading and of this whole grid that I've set up. And then to finish, this is my favorite part, is I just have some rose petals that I've come from my garden. And I just, when they start to go a little bit, I just take them apart and they become part of my beautiful altar. Isn't that pretty? And it's just carrying now, it's just got also, I'm just using everything, that I have around, and I can make this gorgeous circle altar now. It's almost like a little heart. And now it's activated. And I love that it's working. I can feel it working. I can think about what my cards say. I can work with the energy of these bowls to work with the power of sound if I want to, or I can light a candle, another one, or I can do some journaling here, or I can finish by meditating on this beautiful grid that I just built. So I hope that helps and gives you a starting place. What I hope I'm communicating better than anything is that be creative. Use things that you already have. You don't have to go to the store and buy anything. Everything is, you can make yourself. You can make, an intentional card that's out of a deck of cards, right? And use the Queen of Hearts, right? Or you can use, flowers from your garden that are gardenias sometimes I use, or anything I've got. And I might only have one real crystal in this grid. And that's the one, though. That's the one I have chosen, or that has come into my life, or someone has given to me. And I'm using that and intentionally heightening the vibration of this. So you don't need a lot of money to do this. You just need sort of the creative energy of looking around your space and seeing what could function as meaningful, intentional pieces that are part of this grid experience. And we'll just end with a short little meditation now. So just close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, think about what you would like to intend today and put it into this beautiful crystal grid that we just made. Put your intention into this grid with your mind. Just place it there. Something you're working on. What do you want to love better? And it might be just yourself, which is a good place to start, because that's sometimes where we withhold the most love, is to ourselves. So what about loving you? Maybe that's the one. But it might be your mother, it might be your sister, it might be the world. Hold your intention now. And imagining your energy joining the energy of this grid that I've just built for us. Good, and so be it. Make it so. Good, and when I'm completely finished with my experience, as we are finishing now, I then blow my candle out, and it is done.